Remember that beautiful rose cane tutorial I made a while ago? Let me show you how you can make a beautiful pendant with it. First of all, let me tell you that this is not a slice of the cane. It's just the distorted end cut to where the pattern is perfect. Simply shave off most of the raised parts. You might have some hollow areas, but those can be filled. So I simply baked this on a tile, then sanded and buffed it. Then I'm going to get a sheet of silver clay run on a medium thin setting. It was a 6 on a Makins machine. Of course, you have to run your clay through the machine until you obtain the mica sheen. Next, for best effects, you need a texture that is specific for PMC, precious metal clay. Of course, you can use a regular texture, but with these it will look even more like real silver. Then I have to figure out the size of my slice and pick a round cutter a size larger for the pendant. First, I need to cover that hollow in the back of the piece. I get some bacon bond rubbed on the back of the medallion and then fill the hollow with some silver clay. Press it well in place, then shave the excess. Then rub more bacon bond on the full back of the medallion. Cut a piece slightly larger than your medallion and place it on a texture sponge with the shiny side down on the sponge. Press firmly with your fingers until you get all the area textured. Desirable is for the texture to be slightly uneven, more pronounced in some areas and fainter in others. Then place your sheet of clay on wax paper and use a cutter on it. Place the medallion on the clay so it would be in the exact middle. Now take a sheet of clay on one thinner setting than the first sheet that would be a bit larger than the texture pattern you want to obtain. In this case, I want the top superfine border texture on this texture plate. Decide which side of the border will be near the medallion, on the inside of the bezel, and cut the line using your rigid blade. Then cut the other side, making sure that you have an edge left from the end of the texture of at least 2 millimeters. Then start gently manipulating the strip into a circular shape without erasing the pattern. A bit of patience will make the clay go in any shape you want. If your strip is barely not long enough, you can, again gently, stretch it a bit on both sides equally until the edges meet. Blend the joint. Cover the piece with cling wrap, making sure you have no wrinkles. Then use the same cutter you used for the back to cut the bezel. Cut a very thin strip of clay from your leftover thinner clay. Twist it until you obtain an even string. Well, for this you can use an extruder, but I didn't want to bother with all that just for one string. Place your string right where the bezel meets the medallion. Blend the ends. Then gently flatten the string. Make any necessary adjustments if the string fell out of a circle. After it cooled down, cut a small rectangle from the thicker sheet of silver, the one you used for the backing. Place a drop of Bacon Bond on what you deem to be the top of your medallion and place the rectangle there. Trim it so it would be right to the edge of the medallion in the front and to the edge of the back on the side. Then, using your X-Acto knife, make 3 or 4 delicate parallel lines on it, as shown. Use a silver metallic wax or even a silver metallic acrylic to shine up the raised areas. Here I am using the old silver of the Art Alchemy Metallic line. It is a wax that cures hard, and I discovered that if I rub some on the piece before baking it and again after baking it, the hardening is better, it buffs shinier, and the color is way richer. It looks good. Now I will buff the wax using a microfiber. It looks good. Now I will buff the wax using a microfiber cloth. See how as soon as I buff, it starts looking like old silver? The wax doesn't have that name for nothing. a second coat of wax if you wish, let it harden, then buff it again with the cloth. The next step is all up to you. You can leave it buffed as it is, you can put some resin on it. Myself, I decided to use Varathane. I am applying the varnish with a squirrel hair mop watercolor brush. That is one of the things you can't be stingy with, so I can avoid streaks and air bubbles. Then I will allow the varnish to harden for 2 hours. For the last step, I will use an eye screw. So I need to drill a hole using a bit of the same diameter as the screw part of the eye screw. After which I dip the screw in glue. I'm using Loctite 2 parts here, and screw it in. I will allow half an hour at least for the glue to start setting. A simple pinch bail will make a perfect connection between the medallion and the silvery chain I will wear it on. Beautiful vintagey looking rose medallion in a silver setting. Happy claying!